This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Time check for you, 12 hours 1. My name is Amrita Koshal, and it is now time for your main newscast in detail. Trinidad and Tobago puts 17 offshore oil blocks up for auction, forewarns of ring-fencing provisions to protect against financial exploitation. The government of Trinidad and Tobago recently launched its 2021 competitive bid round for the auctioning off of 17 deepwater oil blocks, with the deadline for submissions being June 2nd, 2022. The TNT government was keen to put potential bidders on notice that they should expect the inclusion of ring fencing for all agreements. Over in Guyana, the absence of ring fencing provisions in the Stabroek Block Agreement has faced heavy criticisms from local and international actors for several years. In the absence of a ring fencing provision, ExxonMobil and its partners are essentially deducting costs associated with the Liza Phase 2, Payara projects, and other exploratory works from the Liza Phase 1 project that is in production. In doing so, the already small profit to be split with Guyana gets even smaller. Harman must come clean on who instructed Trotman to sign the 2% contract, with the government coming out with a definitive pronouncement that it will not be renegotiating its contract with ESSO. It is now time for each of the contenders vying to lead the PNCR to make a public pronouncement of their positions on the matter. This more so with opposition leader and contender for the leadership position in the PNCR leadership race, Joseph Harman, who in a recent Sunday Kaieteur News publication was pictured wearing a t-shirt saying, "Demand 50% royalty." Additionally, Harman must also now come clean with the nation and divulge who instructed the Minister of Natural Resources, Raphael Trotman, to sign the contract with ExxonMobil Guyana. The sentiments were recently expressed by Canada-based Guyanese Dr. Jerry Jailal, who said that Harman's call for a 50% royalty now sets an interesting stage, since the Exxon chief had said both the PPPC and PNCR promised during the election that the contracts will not be renegotiated. 200 million tons of stones sitting on wharf amidst national shortage as GRA gets ready to dispose of uninjured goods. The government of Guyana has in recent years repeatedly lamented the shortage of stones, a crucial commodity used in the construction industry on the local market. This has led to the issuance of several new quarry licenses and even the importation of the much-needed commodity into the country. This is even as GRA gets ready to dispose of some 200 million tons of crushed stones crusher run. The consignment was imported by the Guyana National Industrial Company and is being stored on the Demerara Shipping Company's wharf. It was put on notice that the stones would be disposed of and are currently categorized as uninjured goods. The stone shortage situation in Guyana had reached a point where President Irfan Ali last year removed the taxes on the importation of stones in order to meet the shortfall in meeting local demand. In other news, we now tell you EPA's response to suspected oil spill exposes lack of capacity, according to scientists. The Environmental Protection Agency's response to the recent reports of oily substance found floating offshore in Guyana's waters not only exposes the agency's lack of capacity with regard to monitoring the country's oil operations, but points to a need for proper surveillance in this regard. This is the view of Guyanese scientist and university lecturer Dr. Troy Thomas, who yesterday weighed in on the development some 72 hours after a video circulated online depicting an oily film floating in some sections of Guyana's waters. The video has since prompted a response from the National Oil Spill Committee as well as the EPA, with the latter agency promising to get to the bottom of the issue. He noted that while the authorities have been asking citizens to reserve judgment on the issue, people have every right to be concerned about the reports. Commenting on the length of time that Guyana's response team is taking to locate the affected area, Dr. Thomas said, "This only puts the nation at risk if indeed the situation is as serious as an oil leakage." 8 arrested over air guns and other stolen items. 8 persons have been arrested following an armed robbery on Saturday last between 4:30 hours and 7 hours in New Amsterdam, Berbice, after which police conducted a cordon and search exercise in High Dam, Angois Avenue area at the home of one of the men. In police custody are Paul Young, Kevin Mariah, Simeon Cole, Keon Clark, Quincy Lewis, Sion Benjamin, and Compton Semple. Police swooped down at the home of Paul Young and conducted a search in the presence of Kevin Mariah and Simeon Cole. According to reports, a pink and brown haversack containing a transparent plastic bag with a quantity of leaves, seeds, stems suspected to be cannabis, and 2 suspected air pistols were found in Young's bedroom. Mariah reportedly told the police that the suspected cannabis belonged to him. They were all arrested, including Benjamin, Clark, Cole, Lewis, and Semple, who were all occupants of the house at the time. They have been held for robbery under arms. 3 cellular phones suspected to be stolen were also found during a further search, and the owners were contacted, who confirmed that they were robbed of their cell phones indeed. Time check for you, 12 hours 7. We will return with more news in detail shortly after the break.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
My name is Amrita Koshal, and we now return with your main newscast in detail. Cell phone thief jumps into the wrong yard in escape bid. A cell phone thief's escape plan was quickly thwarted yesterday by a group of security guards after he reportedly jumped into the wrong yard in his failed escape bid. The thief had reportedly moments earlier robbed a man at knife point at around 10 hours in Bel Air, Georgetown. According to eyewitnesses, the victim chased after the thief and was soon joined by nearby residents who had witnessed the robbery. Realizing that they would have caught him, the thief attempted to escape by jumping into a nearby yard. The bandit, however, was unaware that the property was heavily guarded by the MMC, that should be security service. Minutes after being confronted by a security guard, he was taken to a police station by other guards in a pickup. We understand that investigators have since managed to recover the stolen phone. Linden man now fearful for life as attacker walks free. A 58-year-old Linden man, Charles Clark, who was brutally chopped about his body 2 years ago, leaving him with his left arm amputated and a piece of his right ear severed, is now fearful for his life as his attacker is a free man. According to Clark, the attacker, Dave Smart, is now sending threats to him that he will finish him, which forced him to make a report at the Wismar police station. Smart allegedly brutally chopped Clark about his body in a vengeful rage as he believed Clark shared a romantic relationship with his ex-lover. The bloody attack occurred at Blueberry Hill, Linden, on October 4, 2019, at approximately 3 hours. Clark was spending time with Smart's ex-lover, who he had met 1 week prior. She invited him to her home, where he spent 1 week as he got to know her. Clark said family members warned him that he may be involving himself in a triangular love affair, but when he confronted his female friend, she said that she was single. In other news, we now tell you a 21-year-old man was sentenced yesterday to 1 week imprisonment after he pleaded guilty to abusing his wife. Narendra Sukra appeared before Magistrate Peter Yu at the Blairmont Magistrate Court, where he entered his guilty plea and was sentenced. The charge stems from an incident that took place earlier this year, shortly after the couple got married. Sukra reportedly began beating his wife, causing her to suffer a swollen eye as a result of a misunderstanding between the two. And we now tell you, corrective works have commenced on the retaining walls of a major thoroughfare in the Silvertown community of Wismar Linden, which collapsed on Tuesday last, 2 days after it was constructed. Approximately 100 feet of the 1,800 feet retaining wall that was constructed to alleviate flooding in the community is now being repaired by contractor David Sugrum of D&R Construction Company. The 16 feet wide road was completed on November 28th to the tune of $11 million. Sugrum was awarded the contract by the RDC Region 10. REO Dwight John said that the road was constructed and retainers were added to alleviate flooding in the area. It was opined by many that the collapse was as a result of substandard work executed by the contractor. 10 children are among the 1,008 COVID-19 related deaths Guyana has recorded since last year, March, 3 of whom were infants. This is according to data provided by the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. Among the deaths were a 6-day-old from Region 3 who died last year in November, a 5-month-old from Region 1 who died in September, and a 7-month-old also from Region 1 who died in October this year. There were 2 children below the age of 10 who died this year, including a 4-year-old from Region 1 who died in October and a 5-year-old who died in Region 4. The other 5 children who passed away include an 11-year-old who died in November last year, a 16-year-old from Region 9 who died in July, and 3 17-year-olds, one from Region 4 who died in May, another from the same region who died in August, and the other from Region 3 who died in September. These deaths were recorded this year. According to the health minister, most of these children developed pneumonia after getting infected, while some were admitted with different types of underlying conditions. And now for your COVID-19 update. The death of a fully vaccinated 71-year-old man from Region 3 and an unvaccinated 83-year-old man from Region 4 has taken the country's COVID-19 death toll to 1,008. Meanwhile, 57 new cases were recorded, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 38,217. 17 patients are in the ICU, 52 are in institutional isolation, 872 in home isolation, and 4 in institutional quarantine. To date, a total of 36,268 patients have recovered from the virus. We now turn your attention to page 7 of the Kaieteur News, dedicated to being blunt. Sign or sink, stupid. That was the hard choice a state engineer faced, which he put before the PAC. It's Christmas daily in the regions, Guyanese people paying and PPP and PNC cronies celebrating. This is the type of governance which PPP and PNC portray in Guyana. What our leaders and their people are doing with roads and schools, they are doing it with oil too. My name is Amrita Koshal, and this was your main newscast in detail.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands.